Hey, everybody. That's right, man. Welcome. October.
Yes, sir.
Episode 91, Schmidty.
91. We're 9 away from 100. That's insane. That's crazy to me. Crazy.
Bowfishing Buzz, baby.
Yes, sir.
Wow. We are excited to be back.
Absolutely.
I know right now we're on our little monthly podcast of this season here, but it's great to be back up here in the podcast booth.
Yeah.
Bringing you all another podcast.
I hope we remember how to do this.
I know.
Still. I miss being up here, but bowfishing aspect of things slows down a little bit. Before we get too far, Bowfishing Buzz podcast brought to you by AMS Bowfishing and Megamouth Bowfishing as well, sponsored by NDesigns, leatherwork and embroidery, and E-FISH-N-SEE Bowfishing Lights from Outdoor Innovations USA. But yes, we are back here. I believe today is the 24th, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
So we're a little over a month from our previous podcast. But, we just always want to make sure that when we bring you guys these podcasts, they are loaded with tons of content.
Right. We got a little stuff here for you. First of all, to start things out, not on the bow fishing side, Schmidty, but the bow hunting side.
Yes.
You are tagged out.
I am.
You are tagged out, buddy.
Yep. And I'm not sure when our last podcast was, but it might have been around September 17th, which is actually the day that I actually tagged out for the 2024 archery season.
Right.
Yeah, it was the fourth day of season, if I remember correctly. Left work early. It was 82 degrees was the high. Just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. But I had a deer that was showing himself in daylight. And when that happens, you got to jump at the opportunity. It doesn't matter if it was 102 degrees outside. You have to do what you got to do. I remember walking in, Matt. This was my fourth time out. And I remember the previous 3 times, I'm like, this is ridiculous. I get so sweated up walking in. It's terrible.
I know.
So picture this in your mind, okay?
Okay.
All right? D. Schmidty, 6'2", 240, walking 300 yards through the tag alders and brush in the sun, completely shirtless. It got to a point where I'm like, this is terrible. I walked in without a shirt on.
Wow.
I was in the blind without a shirt on until like 6 o'clock. And the only reason that I put a shirt on after that is because the mosquitoes were so bad. My nips were getting bit.
Oh, my goodness. You don't want that to happen now.
No.
You'd rub them raw.
Yeah, that would be terrible. That deer came out right at last light, within 5 or 10 minutes of legal, and just kind of coming into a food plot type of deal. It was a deer that we had history of. I saw him hunting last year. I have some
sheds, right?
Yep. We had some really cool last year during that antlerless hunt that Wisconsin has. There's a 4-day antlerless hunt. Of course, I was up there trying to shoot some does, manage the buck-to-doe ratio a little bit on the property, and he walked out last year as what I would assume a 3-year-old. I have some really beautiful footage of snow falling down.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Yeah, that was very cool. And I'll be honest with you, Matt, I think with last year in Wisconsin, we had such a mild winter. It was insane. Yeah. I know that even just from thinking back on ice fishing, we got like 11 inches of ice halfway through January, and it never got more. We never reached 12 inches. Like, it never got cold enough to add to that ice layer. We didn't have cold weather. We didn't have snow. And in my opinion, that really helped the rack size of these deer going into this season, because this deer, I didn't think last year that this year he was going to be a shooter.
Right.
I did not think that he was going to make that jump, and he made that jump big time.
Yep.
So yeah, it's been fantastic. I will not lie. I feel a little bit left out. Whenever I take out early, I always have this feeling like yesterday was so beautiful. Yep. The leaves are falling. It's just a beautiful time of year. It feels big bucky. You go outside and it just smells like a night. Yes, it smells like a night that deer are going to be on their feet, mature deer are moving. But in that same breath, I obviously can't pass up an opportunity at a deer like that. Right. So I'm very happy.
Heck of a buck. Congratulations. Thank you. Heck of a buck. And once again, you done her good.
Yeah.
You done her good.
I appreciate that, Matt. Yep. Something I'd like to touch on. When I shot that deer, you also had a very interesting situation happen with you.
That same afternoon.
Yes.
Also, Timmy Boy.
Yes, Tim Marinas. We've had him on.
Close encounter as well that same afternoon.
Yeah. Yep. Why don't you tell everybody what we all noticed about that special day?
That was the rising of the harvest moon.
Yep.
And we all had encounters. You capitalized. I had an opportunity. And Timmy Boy had an opportunity.
All on extremely mature deer. Yes. Like, we're not talking 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds coming through here. We're talking mature, big shooter deer.
Yeah.
And it was, like I said earlier, it wasn't like we had a September cold front or anything. It was hot.
Right.
And this harvest moon had bucks up on their feet. So you were pretty close with that deer.
Oh, my gosh. So this is how my luck kind of goes. The best spot where I hunt is right next to the road. All right. Yep. So I'm constantly hearing cars, UTVs going by. I'm only 20 yards off the road.
Good access in and out.
It's a natural funnel, and that's where the deer cross.
Yep.
I had some does and fawns in the plot earlier, right there. And a little before 7 o'clock, I heard a snap. And I looked out the right side of my window.
Like a twig snap.
Yep. And it's high grass right there and thorn trees and stuff.
And you're on the ground, correct?
Yep, I'm in my blind. Yep. And I see a buck's front shoulders and head.
Okay. Couldn't see antlers yet.
Oh, yeah. I could see it.
Okay,
I saw antlers right away. And the deer turned and looked to the west, and right away I saw split brows, and I knew who it was right away. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's a good deer.
Yep.
And he turned, and he looked towards my food plot. He's only 7 yards from me.
Oh, my gosh.
He's only 10 yards from me.
And you're eye level with this deer, too. That makes it a whole new, cool, intense experience.
Now, all I can see is a little bit from his shoulders up.
Sure, yep.
The rest is all covered with grass and stuff.
Okay.
He's walking. He's coming right to the food plot. He looks back at the food plot. Step. Yeah. At this point, I'm thinking, okay, the direction that he's coming, when I shoot him, he's going to run across the road into the neighbors. I'm going to have to call the neighbor to go in there and track it. I'm thinking all this stuff.
Yeah. You think 1,000 words a minute when the situation like this is happening.
I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to be done right. This is going to be done right now.
Yeah. 4 days into season.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so he gets about 3 yards from the food plot, and he stops and he picks his head up. Stretches his head up high, and he looks towards the road. And I'm like, oh, no. I can't hear nothing or anything.
Yep.
It turns around and bounds. And back he goes into the woods. I'm like, what the heck? Wind is perfect. It's in my face. He has no idea I'm there.
Yep.
Like 5 seconds, 6 seconds later, I could hear, quick. Here comes a guy walking down the gravel road.
Gosh, that still just kills me to hear that story. Oh.
But that's not the end of it. Then the deer puts it on me again. The same buck. He goes into my middle food plot and stands in front of my camera and spars with another buck.
It was a good deer, too, that he was sparring with. In daylight hours.
Yes.
Yeah. Man.
How crazy is that? And then Timmy, like I said, had a chance at a nice 10-point that unfortunately winded him.
Yep.
On that September 17th.
Yep.
How crazy is that?
That is wild. And actually, that night that I shot mine, so one, I had a mature deer come out in front of me. You had one 7 yards from you. Tim had one very close to him. That night, I remember we had a picture of a deer that, unfortunately, I have learned is now dead. A bow hunter near us has harvested this deer. But we got a picture of this deer on a part of the farm that we have not gotten a picture of him at all.
Crazy.
And we did not get a picture of him before the 17th, nor did we get a picture of him from the 17th up until a week ago when he was shot.
Wow.
So that 17th was a magical day. It was just very strange. I've never been a big moon phase guy, but honestly, that kind of made me believe it.
Me too.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy. We all had those encounters on that same afternoon.
Yeah.
When it was in the 80s and 70s.
Yeah. And so we had all that happen on the 17th. You also had an interesting hunt on October 4th, Matt. Why don't you tell us about that a little bit?
That was a morning hunt. It was a Friday. Yes, it was a Friday morning, I believe. Yeah. And I was sitting in the spot where I shot my 10-pointer last year. My first sit in there this year. And the sun's didn't even break the horizon yet. And there's a cornfield off to my east. And I heard something out there kind of walking, and I looked out there, and I could see a deer. Picked up my binocs, and I looked. Oh, boy. That's a deer I call Latte.
Latte. Why do you call him Latte, Matt?
Because if I happen to get lucky enough to get that deer, I'm going to have myself a bunch of lattes.
That's a great name.
Lattes.
There you go. Yep.
He's just a beautiful 10 with beautiful G2s and stuff, and he comes in, and he hits the runway, and I'm like, oh, my gosh.
Same type of deal? You're thinking this is going to happen.
The way he's looking, I'm kind of iffy, but he steps onto the runway that comes by me, and I'm like, okay, and he turns his head towards the runway, towards where I can get a shot at him, and then he looks back again to the west.
And this is for everyone listening. This is a different deer than the one you had an encounter with on the 17th.
Right, right. And he walks to the south of me, I can't get any shots because there's a lot of greens on the lower greens. I'm up in a tree now.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he's walking the 40 fence line there. And I didn't know it, but there was another 10-point, a smaller 10-point over there. And he didn't like that. He was there. And he actually postured and ears laid back. And he kind of like lunged a little bit at that other 10-point. And the 10-point ran and actually came right by me. And I was like, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
And then I started videoing with my phone, and he started pawing at the leaves and stuff and at the trees and raking his antlers a little bit.
Yep.
And then he just slowly turned and kept heading to the west and just never
presented a shot.
How
old would you guess that the smaller of these 2 10s was?
Smaller?
Yeah. Like, you think he's like a 2-year-old type of deer?
2.5, 3.5.
2.5, 3.5. Okay,
I would probably say 3.5.
Okay. I mean, that, geez,
he has some pretty decent mass on him.
Having those 2 deer within, what, 40 yards of you?
Well, the
smaller one was closer.
Right, pretty much, 15 yards from me.
Well, that's cool to see 2 deer like that in one sit.
Yeah, yep.
That's awesome.
And I thought, what the heck do I got to do? So I went, bleh. And he turned and looked, and he turned around and came back.
Oh, my gosh.
He came back to where he was pawing at the leaves and stuff and raking his antlers. And then he turned and went back to the west.
Well, that's cool. Everything that you know, Latte is still alive, correct?
I got a picture of him Sunday morning at 3:30 in the morning.
Okay, good deal. Good deal. Maybe you'll run into him here as the rut starts to heat up here, pre-rut action here coming in this weekend, really.
And we know, the reason I guess we're telling you all this, because we know a lot of you bow hunt and and love chasing whitetails this time of year. And it's an exciting time of year. It's a wonderful time of year. Just like the spawning and chasing fish is a wonderful time of year.
Yeah.
So,
Yep. We'll jump back into the bow fishing portion of the Bowfishing Buzz podcast.
Yep.
Matt, we have 2 very special guests joining us today, and we're not going to be calling them. We're not going to be FaceTiming them. They're going to be sitting down right at this table with us. Yeah. We're going to be having Cindy and Jeff Braun, the owners. Cindy, the owner of AMS Bowfishing, Jeff and Cindy owning the company that we work for here.
Very cool.
A lot of people don't know a lot about them, to be honest with you. But they have stories that run very deep. So we're very excited here. In a couple minutes, we're going to get them up here and do a very cool interview there. I'm looking forward to that.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Jeff and Cindy are very private people.
Yep.
They like to spend their time up north at their cabin and stuff like that there. They don't like to get out there and show off and stuff like that there. They're very mellow people and stuff.
They prefer that you're in front of the camera or I'm in front of the camera instead of them, even though they used to do that all the time back in the day in the earlier stages of AMS. So it'll be cool to dive in with them and see what they're all about as far as building what they have today.
Right.
It's very cool.
It'll be neat.
Very cool.
It'll be neat.
Yep.
So what we got here now is diving into a little bit of fall bow fishing, Schmidty.
Yeah.
Some spots that you need to check out. What do you think? If you were to go out tomorrow night,
okay,
all right, what are you going to look for, Schmidty?
I'll tell you what. This is what I'm going to look for. So I'm going to get to the boat launch. I'll be in the boat.
Yeah.
I'll be standing on the deck of the boat. And then I'm going to look over to my left and go, Matt, where do you think we should... I'm going to say, Matt, where do you think we should go shoot some fish tonight? That's my serious answer. If I was put in that situation that I had to go look for some type of area to look for, honestly, I would kind of just draw back to where we've had success in previous falls. A lot of times this time of year, the vegetation is dying off, which can maybe open up some areas that were choked off all summer that now you can get a boat back into. And those fish might still be holding up in there. We've had a very mild fall so far. So those fish might be in areas that they shouldn't be necessarily right now. And I know from previous experiences, Matt, I know a lot of guys, kind of like we were just talking about, a lot of guys are going to a tree stand this time of year, but do not be fooled because there are some spectacular fall time bow fishing opportunities out there for you. You know, the chilly nights, you can still get into a mess of fish and some big fish as well. Let me flip that on you, Matt. What are you looking for if you're going out during a fall time bow fishing trip?
This time of year, and I know like here in Wisconsin, we haven't had rain. We haven't had a lot of water.
It's so dry. Our fire hazard is like as high as it's been in like all year. It's bad right now.
And I know a lot of those states are dry right now as well. So I would look right now this time of year for try to find some current, some flow.
Okay.
I would look at rivers right now and stuff like that.
Okay.
and try to find where you might have some type of nice steady flow over top of sand flats.
Okay, sand flats, gotcha.
Bends. Here on the river here in Wisconsin, we have a lot of wing dams. And on the backside of those, you get that current.
That little eddy. That eddy action there. Going there.
Great spots. Yep. I mean, just great spots all year long, especially in the fall right now. And then I would also venture into some of the areas that you were explaining about where we would go and shoot fish early in the year.
Yep.
But then during those dog days, they get so choked full of lily pads and weeds that you just can't get in there.
Yep.
Man, now's a good time to get back in there.
Yep.
Those water temperatures have cooled down, especially in that shallow water.
Right.
Where those fish like to tend to come back into there and cruise around on those flats and those mud flats and sand flats and stuff like that.
Yep.
Cricks. Anything that has a current now below dams.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
Definitely give below dams a shot.
Yep. Yep. That could be.
But like you said, don't give up right now.
Yeah.
There's some great bow fishing out there, some big fish as well.
Yeah. I remember years back, we've referenced it before.
Yeah.
84-pound buff.
Yeah.
I'll just throw that out there this time of year. So on to the next thing here, Matt. We're going to discuss a little bit because on the last podcast, we were talking about the voting for the 2025 BAA Worlds.
Yep.
A couple of weeks ago, the results are in. Matt, why don't you share with everybody where 2025 Worlds is going to be held?
We're going to Alabama.
Alabama, baby. Roll Tide.
Boom. Alabama, baby. How about a little applause right here for Alabama winning the 2025 BAA bid, beating out Wisconsin.
Our home state.
Wisconsin.
Yeah. There'll be more fish for us to shoot now. That's all right.
But, Schmidty, it's going to be a very interesting Worlds shoot, no doubt.
Yeah. Yep. I think just a vast variety. And when we had those guys on, they kind of touched on this, that they want to make it like the best people, the best bow fishermen in the world, they're going to open it up kind of like no holes barred as far as what guys are going to be able to target.
Yep.
Alabama's definitely a target-rich environment and the surrounding areas around it. It'll be interesting. It's going to be a very cool to see what comes in, what wins, what kind of trends and habits and tactics that these guys put into place to be successful down there next year.
And you know, one of the big differences here, Schmidty, is we've got big heads, grassies, buffs competing against alligator gar, stingrays, sharks.
That's never been seen before, a tournament like that with that type of variety. Yeah.
So it's going to be very interesting. I know they're going to be doing a bunch of work, you know, getting all the information from different states as far as traveling, you know, coming across state lines with species that aren't in certain areas and stuff like that there. So they've got some work to do on that and get that out. But as far as I know, that they were really looking into this before they made this bid. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with this.
Yeah. So that'll be very exciting to see that. Just for a rundown here on some numbers here, a total of 267 votes came in that first week of October, and 140 of them were for Alabama. Deciding that Alabama was going to be the place for Worlds in 2025.
Yep. I really think what did it for Alabama was the no holes barred deal.
Right. Yep. If you look at the comments on the BAA page, you know, when that was being discussed, that was definitely something that guys were like, wow, this is going to be cool.
Right.
We're going to see all kinds of stuff get brought in for weigh-in.
Yep. And you know why that is because you might have some teams, some smaller teams that feel they can't compete in these bigger tournaments with the amount of scouting and all that stuff that's done on certain bodies of water. Well, here when you open it up to a no-holes bar like this, anywhere you can go, everything's open. You might have some smaller teams that know some lakes in their home states.
Some local honey hole
they
can go pound.
Yeah, they don't need to drive to Alabama to scout those lakes. They can stay home and scout their own little lakes that they like to go on where there's some big fish and shoot on those waters.
Yep.
So I think that's what really was a tilting point here was just the tournament hours are also longer as well.
Yep.
Which gives you more time to
more
get
travel
places,
time,
more
shooting time. Absolutely.
So I think that was a tipping point for this one right here for the Worlds.
Yeah. So let me run this past you, Matt. When I think of fall traditions, I think of up here in Wisconsin, I think of the 9-day rifle season and deer camp with all your friends and your family. I think of Thanksgiving. You get into December, you're talking Christmas, the snow. It's a beautiful time of year. But you know what ranks above all of those things for me as far as a fall time tradition?
Punching your buck tag early, your archery tag early?
Nope, not quite. The good old AMS hit or miss videos.
Oh, yeah.
And you just fired up the first one yesterday and posted it on the AMS page.
Yes, sir. Yep. Just a really neat little thing that we do this time of year when things slow down.
Yep.
You can go to the AMS Facebook page and check it out. There's been over close to 100 comments already on it.
Yep.
What we do is we play a bow fishing scene.
Yep.
And right before the arrow hits the water, we freeze it.
Yep.
And then you have to guess if it was a hit or miss.
Mm-hmm.
And then the following week, we will reveal if it was a hit or miss.
Yep. Yep.
And then we will draw one name that guessed correctly. And they're going to win some AMS Megamouth apparel.
Absolutely.
We're going to be doing this for 9 weeks.
Yep.
It's going to end on December 18th, I believe.
Yep.
Right before Christmas.
Yeah.
And then we're going to have the big grand prize.
Yeah, which we might have a little bit better of a giveaway for that.
It's going to be a nice little prize right before Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That'll be awesome. That'll be very cool. Just so everybody knows, Matt likes to be a little bit of a trickster. So if you guys are watching the video and you're going, that is obviously a miss, just think about it a little bit because you never know what old Matt's got up his sleeve. So
I think one of the best ones that I ever posted that totally everybody whiffed on. There was only a handful out of 100 comments that got it right.
Yeah.
Was a shot on a big head that was really pretty kind of close to the boat. But the big head was down there in a little bit deeper water. And the shot of the arrow looks like that arrow's going to go 2 feet below that big head.
Sure.
And we hit it,
The laws of refraction.
That was a really good one. I remember that one.
Yeah, that's cool. To go along with what you said, Matt, obviously you're going to get some. If you guess right, we're going to pick one of those winners and give them some apparel. Just to shout it out here, available on the AMS and Megamouth websites. Mm-hmm. Matt's sporting the jersey today. Yep. Very lightweight, UV resistant. They're fantastic. They block 98% of UV rays when they're worn. They've got a deep hood on them.
Yeah, look at that, baby.
Look at that. You can fit over your headphones. It looks like you got a helmet on underneath that thing right now.
That's one of them, what do they call them, safe helmets.
The Guardian helmets.
Guardian helmets,
Yep. The reason for that deep hood is we wanted those designed that way so that when you're out in the daytime, one, you're going to be protected from the sun, and two, that hood is going to come all the way to your hat brim and completely block out any additional sunshine that could hurt your, viewing when you got those polarized glasses on.
Because what gets burnt? One of the most things that gets burnt on your body when you're bow fishing.
Oh, my face gets it just terrible.
Your face and the back of your neck.
Yep.
Always get it.
Yep.
So, yeah, these are really nice.
Yeah, they are. Yep, they fit true to size. We also have 2 new hats here. You can see one of the AMS ones. We also have a blue one available. We've got the new big print Megamouth hats. I've got one on right now. We got one on the table. So those are available, and those might be some of the things you might win.
You've got them on the websites?
Yep, everything's up there, ready to be purchased and shipped. We got them all in stock here. So, be on the lookout for that.
Ooh. Can you feel the tension in the air right now?
It's time for BAA Records.
Gotta love it right there, Matt. To lead us off here, congratulations to Holly French on her BAA Alabama Youth State Record Silver Carp, tipping the scales at 35.26 pounds and measuring 40 inches.
Nice.
Awesome shooting to Holly. Fantastic.
How about Brody Bolin with Scale Slayer Bowfishing on his BAA Youth Ohio State Record Grass Carp, weighing in at 39.8 pounds and measuring 42 inches long.
Awesome.
Nice job to those youth shooters right there.
Absolutely.
Getting it done.
Yep. You love to see it, and we always say it, Matt. The most important generation is the next one. I'll tell you what, guys, we're going to go down, grab Jeff and Cindy. They're bouncing around the shop here somewhere. We'll bring them up here, give them that interview. I'm very excited for that right after this commercial break. E-FISH-N-SEE Bowfishing Lights by Outdoor Innovations USA. A color tone adjustable and dimmable light with a unique patented reflector design that puts more light where you need it. E-FISH-N-SEE Bowfishing Lights offer 3 different models: the 65-watt single color economy light, the 65-watt Efficiency V2 tricolor dimmable light for maximum efficiency and versatility, and the 130-watt Efficiency Maximus, designed to be an all-out beast of a bowfishing light. E-FISH-N-SEE, designed and built by bowfishermen for bowfishermen. Check them out at OutdoorInnovationsUSA.com. Are you looking to elevate your bowfishing brand with stunning design solutions? Look no further than NDesigns. Their team of talented designers is dedicated to bringing your vision to life. Whether it's t-shirts, hats, leather products, eye-catching logos, to captivating boat wraps, they have you covered. Plus, with their commitment to excellence and attention to detail, you can trust that your project is in good hands. Don't settle for ordinary. Choose NDesigns for extraordinary results. Visit their website today and let's bring your ideas to life. NDesigns, where creativity meets excellence. All right, welcome back, everybody. Episode 91. We have 2 very special guests joining us.
We told you they're going to be joining us right here.
Yep. This is not a phone call. It's not a FaceTime. No. They are here in the flesh with us in the podcast studio. Jeff, Cindy, how are you guys doing today?
Pretty good.
Doing all right.
Good. Good deal. Good deal. We obviously for our listeners and everything, Jeff and Cindy, the owners of AMS Bowfishing, they've made all of this possible for us. We brought them up here because I'm not gonna lie, we'll be in meetings sometimes, and all of a sudden you guys will start telling a story, and I'll have to cut you guys off because I'm like, this is A+ podcast material right here. So we finally got them in the booth. We're gonna run them through a couple questions here and
that's right.
See what they're all about.
I know we've had Cindy on in the past.
Yep.
On a previous podcast.
Yep.
I think last year we had Cindy on. Mm-hmm. A little bit of history and stuff, but now we've got both of you here. This is awesome.
Yeah, it is.
Because, like we were saying earlier, you guys were in the DVDs and in the videos back in the middle 90s and stuff like that there, going on your bowfishing trips. Yeah.
The first one was a videotape.
Wow.
That's right. Yep.
Wow.
Yep. What was that called? That was something blue water.
Actually, that was
On the Water.
On the Water.
No, that was a DVD. But there was another one before that. But we didn't produce that one, but Tara did. But we were quite involved with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Tara.
Bertalin.
Yeah, Bertalin.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
It's cool stuff. But like we were saying, since then you guys kind of like to be a little private about, you like to go up north and do your own things and a little bit private. So this is going to be cool for people to get to know you guys a little bit more.
Absolutely.
So let's just give a little background on both of you, Cindy and Jeff, where you grew up, where you went to high school, how you guys met, college and stuff like that.
Oh boy. Your version or my version?
I grew up in Abbotsford, Wisconsin. Small town USA, 2,000 people. Went to school, high school in Abbotsford. Went to college in Eau Claire.
Mm-hmm. What was your degree in?
Business administration.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
I grew up in a small town of Milan, which
smaller
was
town.
Oh my gosh,
15 miles away from Abbotsford.
Hickville.
But we were still we were on the edge of the school district, because every morning when we'd pass one road, and the school district from the bus from the other school district we'd meet them.
Okay, sure.
In that corner. So Milan's is a little small town. When I was growing up there, it basically had a softball diamond,
That's right.
which was big back in the day.
Yep.
And that supported 3 bars, a cheese factory, a hardware store, and about, I don't know how many homes, 50 to 100 homes.
Okay.
So it's one of those don't blink towns.
Yeah.
Sure.
Now there's not much left there. The cheese factory shut down. The hardware's shut down. There's no bars left.
Is the softball diamond still there?
The softball diamond's still there. I think they have Little League, but I don't think they'd have much. They might run a tournament, but I don't know that. That's kind of died out over the years here.
Yeah.
That was one of the prime spots I remember years ago when softball was really big,
It was a high
the
school
Milan
hangout.
tournament. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. You and Nate are always talking about, even Corey talking about how every weekend back in the day you guys would go to softball tournaments. And you'd be there from Friday, Saturday, Sunday playing 3 games a day.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
That sounds fun.
I grew up a half mile down the road behind the softball diamond.
Oh, okay.
So
Gotcha.
I grew up in that environment. And,
Yep.
and yeah, that was the place at Abbotsford and Athens and all the surrounding small towns would come and they'd have a team there, and that would be the place to come.
That's cool. That's cool.
And you and Cindy both went to the same high school in Abbotsford.
Right.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, that'll lead me into this next question, because you guys know here on the Bowfishing Buzz, if there's one thing we love more than bowfishing, it's love itself. So how did you two meet when you guys started dating?
They're both sitting here looking at each other and smiling.
It was just in high school. I don't know. What?
Sydney chased me around.
All right.
She was in.
I was 2 years older. Yeah.
She was 2 years older. She was in high
okay.
school. I was actually in junior high yet. I was 7th or 8th grade, and but I'm as tall as I am now. I was as tall as I am now in 6th grade.
Holy cow! Wow.
So in 6th grade, I remember, Matt, we played you.
Yes.
We were in Stratford. We played you in basketball, and I remember you telling me everybody thought I flunked about 3 grades. So, And I'm only 6'1", but in 6th grade, when you're 6'1", that's a big deal.
Yeah, you can dominate at 6'1" in 6th grade.
I have a 6th grade. I was 6'1" and had a mustache. So
Yes,
Wow.
exactly. And I actually have a story on this.
You tell me
right?
this story.
Yep.
Yep.
So we were playing you guys in the small little where they had the cafeteria room at the elementary school in Stratford. They had that, remember that small, tiny
you
little.
had to turn your feet sideways to get out of bounds to
Yes,
throw the ball in.
because the walls were right there. Yeah. And I remember one time I had to inbound the ball. All right. Well, I got a 6'1" guy from Abbotsford on me with a mustache.
You probably thought, why is the coach playing?
Yeah, and they hand me the ball, and I'm trying to inbound the pass, and Jeff puts his arms up, and he's going like this here. I'm like, holy cow, he's got hair under his armpits already. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Oh, man.
He's got a mustache, and he's got hair under his armpits. Holy cow.
Yeah. Intimidating.
So,
Yes.
Yeah, I bet.
So yeah, I was a early sprouter, I guess you could say. So Cindy was she was 2 years ahead of me in school, 1.5 years by age.
Yeah.
And you were in I can't remember what it was called, but you always did the high school annual, so you were running around with the camera all the time.
Yeah, I'm taking pictures. And your two brothers were his older brother was in my sister's grade, and Jim was
A year older.
than that. But so we'd be kind of hanging out at the same parties or at the same ball games, or I'd be kind of not that I was chasing my sister's crowd, but we're such a small school that we all just kind of moved together, and Jeff was just around with the brothers and hanging out with the older crowd, and was just around to notice, I guess.
Needless to say, since Cindy was part of what was that called? The annual. It was
annual staff.
Annual staff, yeah. Mm-hmm. Since she was taking pictures all the time, I was always in almost every other page in the annuals.
Oh, interesting. The camera always found you somehow.
Yeah, I was also the editor, so
yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, yep.
So
Full control.
A little bit of a bias there, maybe.
Yep.
But
So,
yeah.
but no, we actually, our first date was at if people remember from the area, the old Aircraft. Aircraft was a local band from the Athens area.
Oh.
In Wausau area that kind of made it big. They had a couple, I mean, not really big, but they had a couple hits on the billboard and radio and stuff.
Really?
Oh, that's cool.
And they would always come back to their roots. Every holiday they'd play at the Athens Community Hall.
Oh, very nice.
Christmas, Thanksgiving, and sometimes Easter. So our first date was at a Christmas Aircraft concert.
Cool.
Awesome. And the rest is history from there, huh?
Yep.
That's awesome.
I mean, how cool is that? We're in our 50s now.
Oh, speak for yourself.
Yeah.
Except for little D Schmidty over here, who's a pup yet.
Yeah.
But how cool is that we're in our 50s now, and you guys met when you were, what do you say, in 7th grade?
Yeah. We started dating. I was in 8th grade, and she was a sophomore.
Gotcha.
That's
awesome.
That's really
cool.
I couldn't drive yet.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
She couldn't drive yet.
So
And I remember
I just got my license after that.
I remember I went to the prom that spring with her, and next week I got called to the principal's office because I wasn't supposed to be there because I was in junior high.
Oh, he's a bad boy.
Yeah. I said, well, hey, Phil, come on. I was invited. I was a guest.
Right. Yeah. That's good stuff
That
right
is really
there.
neat.
That's cool. That's cool.
And in high school, we hung around with your wife, Julie.
That's right.
Because she dated Cindy's cousin, Brian, through high school, and we were always doing stuff with him.
Right. That's actually how, I mean, we knew each other a little bit from sports and all that stuff.
Sports, and your dad was the county sheriff back then, so everybody knew your family.
Right. And you took me out bowfishing a couple of times on the Big Old Plain flowage. But then, that's Julie is the reason I started working here. Right. Because I think you, Cindy, said to her, she was doing little stuff at home. She was packaging slides and small little stuff packaging. And you said to her, man, we're getting really busy. We need help.
Yeah,
and then,
what's Matt doing? What's Matt doing? I think you were selling cars at the time.
I was car sales. That's right, at Gross Motors.
I felt like I kept bugging her. I'm like, what's Matt doing? We need Matt. What's Matt doing? So, yeah, that's how we knew about you.
Crazy how.
It is. Yeah. Small world.
Yeah.
All connects.
Yep.
That's wild.
And what that was, you've been 17 years now?
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
17 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was 10 when you started working here.
You believed in Santa Claus yet?
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
Oh,
Wow.
funny.
That's cool. That's very cool.
It is neat stuff out. It all spun around.
Yep. Yep.
And Julie stood up in your wedding, and you stood up in our wedding.
Right.
I mean, how cool is that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, and little Derek was involved too. He was buddies with Sawyer.
That's right.
Yep.
Days.
That's right.
Yep.
I think we took you bow fishing before you. I mean, probably the first time, right?
Oh, yeah. I remember going out with you guys. We went out at night on the O'Plain flowage because for everyone listening, too, Sawyer and I were in the same grade. From preschool on up through high school, we were good friends in school. And you guys took me out. I was a little fishing, hunting, obsessed little kid when I was little. We went out at night first on the Big O'Plain, and I shot. I didn't hit anything, and I was just like, oh, my God, this is terrible. I can't hit anything. We went out the next day. I shot a fish. I'll never forget this. I don't know. I'll never forget this. I shot a fish, and it got off, and I just remember being like, oh, God, it was like a 10-pound carp, and I'm just crushed.
Yep.
Jeff, you shot one, and you let me bring it in with the line, and I remember just feeling like a big dog when I got to do that. That was amazing. That was really cool. I'll never forget that. Yep. Little did I know that, however many years later, I'd be working.
We took a lot of kids out.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
A lot of them, with the Take a Kid bow fishing thing, but just some of the local kids with the Boy Scout troop and stuff like that. Just stuff we did on our own. So,
Yep. Cindy,
Oh boy.
please explain what all metal stamping is. The AMS on the reels and stuff. The all metal stamping, and what made you want to branch off and start marketing bow fishing products?
All Metal Stamping is my dad's company in Abbotsford. Grew up with it, and actually my mom's dad, my grandpa, started it years ago. He was killed in a car accident, and then things happened, whatever, and my dad ended up taking it over.
Okay.
that was before you were even born.
Before I was even born, right? So that's kind of how we ended up in Abbotsford. But All Metal Stamping actually makes fire door hardware. They make hinges and vision panel frames, all kinds of odd things for the building industry. So, and my dad was a bow fisherman, so he can't stand. He's always tinkering, so he can't and he can't stand using substandard products. So he was out tinkering, and he had to make a better bow fishing reel. And pretty soon, next thing you know, he's got a compilation of parts that we could start shooting fish with. So that's kind of where all metal. It was a sideline. Bow fishing was a sideline to all metal for him, and it's just kind of grown from there.
Right. What was he? How was he bow fishing before?
He used like an old. You see the old spool type reels, but before that they would actually screw coffee cans to their bows. So they would coil the line around an old tin coffee can. Back in the day, there used to be tin cans. And then you just coil the line around that, and that I'm sure that then somehow that developed into the spool type reels.
Right.
And he just wasn't happy with that. I think he had an issue, something bad happened in the field, and he's like, all right, that can't happen again. So then he went to the drawing board and came up with what we know today as the Retriever.
Wow,
so
that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's very cool.
I think what assisted with him too was they had a cabin on Meat Lake out towards Greenwood, just a small little lake, had carp in it.
Yeah.
Big carp. Back then, and nobody bow fished for them. So it was not uncommon to get 30, 40 pound fish out of there regularly.
Yeah.
But then it was daytime only, so that lake was difficult to bow fish during the day, but unless it was spawning, because it was kind of a dark stained water.
Sure.
But when you hit the spawn right, you could really
Shoot some big fish.
Yes.
Yeah. So let me ask you this from a standpoint of not being as old as you guys, not to put that in that way, but so when your dad, Cindy, was a bow fisherman, there had to be like barely anybody shooting fish back then.
There was nobody. We never saw anybody. I mean, I've got pictures of me when I was, 2 years old or something, standing by him with a pile of carp.
And the carp were as big as she was.
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
And the carp were huge. But we'd never see anybody. I'd go out there with them, and we'd be fishing, and people would be looking at us like, "What are you doing?
Yeah,
you guys are weird,"
Yeah, they probably thought you guys were like doing something illegal.
Exactly.
In the boat with bows. What are they doing?
Yep.
But yeah, no. For the longest time, it was, kind of an unusual sport, really small sport. It hadn't developed into much yet, so we're definitely the big,
Yep. And I remember kind of that same scenario when in Wisconsin here, the night bow fishing became legal in I don't remember the exact year, but it was early 2000s, maybe 2000, 2001.
Wow, I didn't realize it was that recent.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I remember going out on the old plane, and nobody's out here. We'd get people coming up to us in boats because they'd come and say, "Oh, I thought you were the DNR shocking fish or something like that."
Sure.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
So they were checking us out. And now you go out on the plane in the summer, and there's almost always a boat out there.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
There's the same thing with everywhere. You see boats everywhere. So
Right.
that's great. That's great to see how the sport grew and is continuing to grow.
Right.
So
Yeah, that's
and
awesome.
and that's a direct impact right to your dad. I mean, what your dad has done for the sport. That's a correlation of all that.
An
coming
absolute
together.
pioneer of the sport.
Absolutely.
100%.
Oh, absolutely.
making a reel that makes it easier for people to go out and shoot.
Right.
So you don't have to make a coffee can reel
Right.
on your own.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's very cool.
And your dad was, anytime you talk to your dad, he's always thinking, you can always tell he's thinking about stuff and how to improve stuff and how to make stuff different and what he needs to do. He's a thinker.
Right. It's
And
always
thinking.
Right.
Yeah.
Always thinking.
Always trying to improve on something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, you guys. In the early stages of having a company, you guys also had 2 kids at home. We talked about Sawyer, and then you guys obviously have a daughter, Sierra. What was it like trying to manage building AMS Bowfishing to what it is today with 2 kids at home?
For a few years, it was just me. So I was at home. I was building reels, punching bottles, taking orders, shipping things.
Right in your house?
Right out of the house.
Oh my gosh.
Well,
Well, I remember
before
at
that, I was
the
building
apartment.
reels in the apartment. We lived in a little apartment, and
Yeah, I remember.
And-
Here's a story I can
yeah,
tell you. I remember this one. In the apartment, this was before the kids, but this was like the year we bought it from her dad and kind of focused on it. We would bring, we had a person that assembled the body of the reel.
Okay.
She would take the parts and do that, and then we would bring them back. We'd install the line and do everything else and whatnot. So I would come home from work, and because this was just out of college, and it was my first year at my job out of college. But I would come home. We had an upper apartment, and I would put the spool of line on this little fixture that we had made.
Yep.
And I'd sit on the couch and line
well, the line
line
was
reels.
The line was on the
Line
floor.
was on the
and-
floor.
Right.
Well, a few months later, the landlords came up and asked, "Are you guys doing something weird at night?" Because apparently the downstairs people were complaining about some funny noise that we were
Oh,
making.
sure. That spool spinning on the floor probably was
making
Well, it was
noise.
probably just
What
bouncing.
the hell is going on up there?
Yeah, you get a little bit of a rhythm going when you're cranking in all that line, and pretty soon the thing starts vibrating, and it's
Oh my God.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Building them in an apartment.
But-
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Think about that.
Yeah. Think what we have out there now. An assembly line, parts, boxes everywhere. And they were building them in an apartment. That's amazing.
It was
little
pretty,
table, no jigs. Yeah, we had power. Did we even use a power tool then?
Probably not.
Probably not.
just hand cranked them in.
Had a little box wrench and a stubby screwdriver, and off we went.
Jack started it all, but it was quite small. But he had a couple good customers and stuff back then, and the sport itself was just smaller,
Right.
Yeah.
Too, shorter season too, because there wasn't as much night fishing. Some of the northern states didn't have night fishing legal yet, and stuff like that.
Sure.
So,
Yep. Yeah.
So
crazy.
Cindy, you're building the reels in your apartment. You're lining them, you're packaging them, you're shipping them out. Where are you shipping them to? Any stores or pretty much just individuals?
No, we had some dealers at the time. It was probably
Okay.
more smaller dealers. A lot of it was word of mouth, but we definitely had a dealer list that we were shipping to. But it was, it was enough for me and the other lady to assemble them and ship them. That was all we were doing, is building reels and
Out of
shipping
state?
them out. Yeah, a few out of
Yep,
state, sure.
yep.
And at that time, we were living in the apartment, and I was working out of All Metal Stamping, so I would take my work to All Metal, and then we would ship there.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Yep.
And Jeff, what was your job out of college? That first job out?
I was in IT.
Okay, gotcha.
So
Gotcha.
that summer we were in the apartment was the year I think that was the year I graduated, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So I was driving from Dorchester to Wausau,
Oh wow. Okay.
and then for a couple of years there, maybe a year or two.
Cool. So then did you guys build a house when you guys had the kids? What did that situation look like?
We bought a house when you were pregnant, when we bought our house in Stratford.
Okay.
And then that year, actually, we built a shop behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, Cindy,
No, I remember.
you remember.
The day I came home from the hospital with Sawyer, I have knocks on my door all day long.
That's when they started.
Where do you want the slab? Where's the electric supposed to come in? Where's the corner? I mean, everybody and their brother showed up, and I'm like, are you kidding me?
Wow. Yeah.
That was not the right day. But anyway, so yeah, Sawyer was just a little squirt. And when we first started building the shed, before then we were punching bottles in the garage and doing more out of the house too. So I mean, once we moved from Dorchester, we had to set up shop in the house, and then we set up shop in the shop when it was actually built. So
okay, gotcha. And that is, I'm guessing, the shop that we worked at.
Right.
And I think we moved here, 7-8 years.
10 years.
This is 10 years now. Wow. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, we actually sold that property
a couple of years ago.
3-4 years ago.
Yep.
So that shop had been added on to several times.
Yeah, we had it
while we were up
3
there.
times. Well,
we had it on
3 times plus the shed plus the back building.
Yes. Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
I mean, just
continuing to grow.
Yeah.
But really, just for all you listeners out there that really don't know the whole backstory on AMS, just think about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your father invented the retriever. He was making out of his shop in Abbotsford all metal stamping. You're working on it in your apartment. You bought it from your father, the bow fishing side. Building and assembling all this stuff and shipping it out in your apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And then moving to Stratford and having building a shed back there. I mean, just think about that.
Yeah.
I mean, how far it's come and where you see it now, a person wouldn't think that.
No, absolutely not.
They wouldn't think that at all.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, how does that make you feel?
No, it's kind of cool. Yeah, it makes you pretty proud, right? Yeah. So yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Very proud.
Yep.
Very proud of what you've done over all these years. I mean, that's really cool.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure.
That's extremely cool. So you told us one pretty good story there, Jeff, about the landlord. What's going on up there?
Yep.
Any other bow fishing crazy stories? I know you and I were talking a little bit this morning. I showed you that old photo album there, and you had some pretty cool stuff in there. But do you remember anything specific stick out in you guys as far as bow fishing stories go, of something that was really cool, that was impressive, your first time you did it, or something that just needs to be told?
God, there's so many.
I have a funny school story about Julie and I. So Matt's wife, Julie. Oh. She and I were good buddies in high school and whatnot. And we always used to go bow fishing down the Black River. And my dad, the guy that he was, had, canoes are good. They're quiet. But one canoe is not good enough. So he strapped two canoes together with like 2x12s. So we had a 2x12 on the front and 2x12 on the back. And then they would float together like a pontoon.
Sure.
And then we had
and he built a rudder to
keep
a
rudder
running straight.
to keep it running straight.
We might have a picture that we'll be able to include in this.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool looking. Yeah.
And I still have the rudder somewhere. It better be around somewhere. Anyway, and then we would mount a little Minn Kota trolling motor up on the front, and we'd wire our batteries back. And anyways, Julie and I thought we'd be, I don't know, some tough chicks, and we'd go out there and we'd float the Black River. So it was a 4-mile float. It usually took about 4 hours, and we put in and had no problems for a while until, and then there we were in our bikinis. So, and I never wear a bikini, but she and I were wearing bikinis that day. So,
and you're bow fishing.
We're bow fishing. Yeah, down this little river in the middle of nowhere again. But the Black River is always fun. I don't know. I just loved it. The horse flies were terrible though. But anyway, we're going down. And there was a tree down, and we're like, oh God, how are we going to get over this tree? And I was kind of worried about it because here we are, Julie and I, 2 girls. And it was all the way across the river. So we're have to get our boat up and over this tree and down to the other side. And it took everything that we had. And we were out there cussing like sailors.
I was going to say, I bet you Julie was swearing.
Yeah, we let loose a little bit there. We couldn't. It was just such a struggle. And oh my God, we were just, out there in our bikinis, dragging 2 big canoes up and over some green. It was a freshly green, I don't know, big old oak tree. I can just picture leaves and branches and stuff all over. And then we just get, we're, yelling and screaming and whatever. Not screaming, I shouldn't say that, but we were just really working hard. And this really sucks and voicing it. We got to the other side, finally got the boats back in the water, and pretty soon a farmer comes up.
Oh my God.
And here I was like, oh my God, how this guy had to hear us cussing up a storm,
Yeah.
And he says something like, oh, have you seen a calf? And I don't know if he came in because he heard us all the commotion on the river. If he came down there to see what was going on down there, or if he was really missing a calf. But anyway, that's just
he was up there watching the whole time.
Yeah, after he picked his jaw off the floor, he's like, I got to get a closer look at this. What is going on?
I don't know if we even shot any fish that day, but there's been a lot of stories on the Black River. The different one was quickly. You were with me, I think. We hit a rock. With Jope, was he along? I don't know.
We went down that thing so many times.
We were going along, and we hit a rock with the trolling motor, stopped us dead. And of course, two people are standing up. You stand up on the 2x10. That's your platform, so you're on top of this board with the trolling motor between you. And we hit a rock, dead stop, and then poof, both of us, somebody was on the floor in the back, and the front two people were in the water. And
most of the time, it's knee deep or less.
Yeah, I mean, I think we landed upright. Even really, I think we just basically jumped off the boat and into the water, but it's just those stupid little memories that stick out.
Yeah, we went down that Black River a lot. We just parked one car at one bridge and went up to the next one and put in. But those orange Coleman canoes, cheap Coleman canoes, I think your dad probably bought at Fleet Farm. I think, Matt, you posted a picture a month or two ago with him in them, probably when they were probably new. Those things... We just retired them probably 5-6 years ago.
Yeah, but and it about killed me. Jeff kept threatening, I want to get rid of those boats.
Well, they were patched about 3 times.
Wow. The
aluminum rails were redone at least twice.
We wrapped them around trees once. Not bow fishing, but canoeing the Black River below the dam. We went and literally wrapped them around a tree.
Oh. Yeah. So we got plenty of use out of those.
Oh yeah,
canoes.
wow.
And you got to remember too, back in the day, I mentioned before, our bow fishing was mainly Mead Lake, which was the spawn. It was hard to bow fish a lot of fish after that, you could go out and maybe shoot 1 or 2 here and there, but we wanted to get more shooting. So when we floated that Black River, we were shooting suckers and red horse, and
really carp, right?
No carp.
You wouldn't get much.
But we were great, we'd shoot all day long because you'd get these schools that would come by you just before the rapids and stuff like that. So it was always a chaotic time.
Yeah.
Or else in the deeper holes, you might find some red horse that were kind of floating around and stuff. So, and we'd shoot a lot of fish. We'd have a lot of shooting on those things, but we'd go through a lot of arrows because we're shooting in the Rocky Bottom.
Oh, sure. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That sounds like fun. I mean, that just sounds like an amazing memory.
Yeah.
Right there.
And we did that through high school and even after high school a lot.
Wow.
How many times?
That is neat.
Yeah. That's cool.
Is neat.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right. This next question is this is my most interested question that I'm going to ask you guys right here. Okay. At what point did you guys realize that you guys had something special brewing with AMS? Was there a specific order or a year that really sticks out as like a launching point that you guys were like, holy cow, this is going to turn into something here? Is there anything that sticks out as far as that goes?
Not to me, really. I just remember we kept growing and growing and growing, getting bigger, and we need more people. And
we just do what we do. It's like, I don't know.
I wouldn't say there's one specific point that I can think of that I can put my finger on.
I don't think so either.
What about when Jeff quit his job to work full-time for AMS, for bow fishing? Was that a point when you realized? Well, that was
kind of maybe a little eye-opening because for so long I was just thinking, I'll just do this. I'll have, we'll raise a family. this will be my job. I'll just do this and maybe we can make it go, And then, so, I had Sawyer, like we talked about, they were building the shop when I brought him home. And I had worked a couple of years by myself. Then we had Sierra, and she was a little stinker kid. So she
was a problem, yeah.
She was a problem child. So I would have enough of her. By the time Jeff came home, I'd say, "Oh, take this kid. I gotta go." And then I'd end up going up to the shed and working.
Shout out to Sierra.
Yeah, Sierra. Sorry, but she was a troublemaker, and so I'd like give her to Jeff, and I'd go up to the shed just to get away from it because she was not happy all the time. But and the kids actually, I don't know, the sidelining here a little bit, but they spent a lot of time with me working up in the shop. They would help me build reels. I have a picture of Sawyer. I had a little kid cage. We used the Rubbermaid tubs, and I would build a kid cage. And
there you go.
I put Sierra in the middle and a cute little rug, and she would walk around or whatever. And then around it would be the Rubbermaid tubs. And then Sawyer was sitting on a little table, and he would put handles and reels for me, and I'd keep him busy. So that was kind of fun. And then when Sierra was a little small, really small, I guess I had a playpen, but why
You put
bring
her
the
on the
why
shelf.
why bring the playpen up to the shop? So I had big boxes, so I would box her up.
Box her up.
You put her on the shelf behind the shipping bench.
I would stand by the shipping bench, and she would be right behind me. And she was just a little thing, so she wasn't going very far. But she had her little blankets in her little box, and she sat back there on the shelf and took a nap while I worked. So yeah, we had a lot of that. But then it got to a point where I'm like, I can't do this by myself anymore. So I said to Jeff, either you're going to have to come home and help me, or I got to hire somebody. So
Yeah, and I know the date because I was in IT in programming back then. And if you remember, the year 2000 was a big deal for programming.
Y2K.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I stuck out my job until after the after year 2000, and I think I quit right after that once everything was fine and whatever. Which, as a programmer, everybody knew. Yeah, you might have a couple glitches here and there, but we're gonna be fine.
Sure.
So, but it was kind of a scary thing for people that didn't know.
Yep. Right.
So it was the year 2000 2001 early that I left my job, and then I remember that fall. I remember just before we went up to work, seeing the 9/11 thing on TV.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah. So that's my date reminders.
Sure. Yep.
Those two.
And I guess, at the time when the kids were so little, we were just making reels. And then shortly after that, we decided to, we started carrying arrows. And then we started making the arrow rest.
We started expanding more.
And then we just started expanding more into more and more bow fishing specific things. And
Sure.
just kept doing what we do.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
Wow.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Very interesting to hear
And
that.
a lot of, you guys know this, but we're still very affiliated with All Metal Stamping because they do injection molding and things like that. So they still make a lot of our parts, not all of them. We make some of them here with our CNC lathes. We have other vendors for line and bottles and things like that.
Yep.
But
Yep.
a lot of the parts are made between us. I would say the majority of the parts are made between us and All Metal Stamping.
Right. Who's 20 minutes from us here.
Yep.
That's so cool. Yep. Local feel.
Yep. And remember, that was one of the high points for both of you was in-house,
Right.
know. So you have more control over stuff and stuff. And I know that was huge for you guys, is getting stuff done in-house.
Yeah.
That way you can monitor and keep track of stuff so much better.
Yeah. Quality control.
Yeah.
Big time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We were just talking about those arrows. We used to buy some points. I won't mention the name of the vendor, but we used to buy some arrow points from an outside source that were way oversized, and we had to build fixtures and just do all kinds of crazy things to get them aligned on the arrow shafts and whatnot. So that was kind of a big eye opener. That we can do this better. We can do it better ourselves. So
Right. Sure.
So that's kind of how we think.
And just recently with the COVID years, you see the long,
Right.
all the issues with supply chain and all that stuff. I mean, we got into a little bit of that, but we were able to keep things moving because we do a lot of it ourselves.
Right.
There was some struggles because, of course, you can't get.
Yeah, we were having issues with screws, right? We couldn't get proper size screw.
for a year.
Right.
We had 10, 12 month lead time on some screws, and you can't build reels without screws.
Right.
Right. And that not every outdoor industry manufacturer can say that through the COVID years. A lot of places fell flat on their face because they're getting everything.
Couldn't get anything from China.
Yep. And pretty soon their whole product line is in a crate somewhere because it can't get shipped.
Yep.
So that benefited us. The made here, made in the USA standpoint of the business, big time benefited us during that time frame.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. Now, we touched on this a little bit earlier, but like I said, not a lot of our listeners and listeners know this about the two of you, but you used to be huge into going on trips and filming and getting all that stuff and making VHS tapes years ago. I remember those would be in our combo kits and stuff like that there.
Crazy.
But before, that was all before Derek and I kind of were in front of the cameras. Any of those trips stick out in your mind that you guys were on years ago that people might not have seen or seen pictures of or anything like that? Because I know you guys, my gosh, Jeff, crocodiles.
Yeah, that's the one that
alligators,
blows my mind.
stingrays, gator gar, tournaments years ago that you were winning and stuff,
Yeah, I didn't do a ton of tournaments. I wasn't. I did a few just to get to know some people and whatnot. But my feeling is the sport of bow fishing is about fun, and being in a tournament, it's all competitive, and I didn't like that feel.
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah, but you and Joe did compete
We
in
did,
that,
we did.
that Pan Am one or whatever.
PABA.
PABA.
Okay, so what is PAB?
Yeah.
What does that stand for?
I think it was Professional Amateur Bowfishing Association.
Okay.
A guy from
Right.
guy from Minnesota started it years ago. He had a company. He made a few things, and he was merged or bought out by Muzzy and whatever way back in the day. I'm not going to mention names or anything, but
Yeah.
but anyways, he put on the professional amateur thing. So he had an amateur. Basically, it was 2 tournaments. So he had a professional side that was all cash prize, and an amateur side that was all prizes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we were in the amateur one, and I don't remember. This one was, I think, one of his big ones where he had a bunch of, maybe it was a state shoot or something. But the top prize for the amateur was a Florida alligator hunt.
Oh, wow.
Imagine that.
Yeah, that's cool.
So and we went there with, this was, I think, even before maybe we just started because I was just out of college, I think. I don't remember if we were doing much with the business or we just started it.
Okay.
So it was definitely before Sawyer. So anyways, it was a 2-day tournament, and of course back then it was all daytime. We had this little 14-foot Alumacraft boat that I built a deck on.
14-footer. Wow.
14-footer with a 25-horse motor on, and it was on Winneconne.
Oh, okay.
So a big body of water.
Yeah, that was a boat I think you bought for $100 from your
Yep.
buddy's dad. Right?
Wow.
Yep, bought that for
Amazing.
$100. I paid more for the trailer, and
Yep, I remember.
whatever. So,
Sorry.
but anyways,
Squirrel.
we shot I think 6 or 7 fish the first day, and they were pretty decent fish and whatever. We found a little spot, got out of the wind and whatever, and holy crap, we're in first place.
Oh, cool.
Well, and then the weather changed a little bit and got even worse the next day because it was windier and whatever. But it wasn't where you couldn't go out, but it's just hard to get to places on that big body of water.
Sure.
And we only shot maybe another 1 or 2 fish, and we ended up winning the thing.
Wow. And you win with a $100 boat, you win a Florida gator hunt?
Yep.
Wow. That's amazing.
That is cool.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
how many gators were you able to take?
And it was a culling gator hunt. So we ended up, I don't remember the exact number, but it's probably in that picture I showed you, Matt.
Yeah, we got
I feel like
pictures of
it
that.
was
Probably
11 or
fit-
13 or something like that.
Between 10 and 15 gators.
What? Holy cow.
It wasn't just a one and done. It was
Oh my gosh, you got your
fill the-
money's worth
it was
there.
a fill the boat.
Holy cow.
And to be honest, not all of those were shot with the bow.
Okay.
Because we shot a couple at the beginning with the bow, and he's like, "This is taking too long. We got to cull some," because it was a culling hunt.
Sure.
We wanted to get enough gators out of there.
Okay.
Because it was a private land hunt, and they wanted to get a certain number out. So then we started harpooning them the way his methodology was, and
Wow.
we're basically a harpoon is you have a bow fishing point stuck on a big stick, and then you throw it at them. You come up alongside them with the airboat, and you throw it at them basically.
Wow.
Just get that point under the hide, and then you have a float on it.
Sure. Wow, that's pretty cool.
So you were in the amateur division, Jeff. We were looking at that photo album today, and there's a picture of Ron Skirvin
Ron was there
up
yeah.
there too.
He was in the professional division.
Wow.
I think he won the professional division that time, and I think at that time I want to say the grand prize was $2,000 or $2,500, which
Wow.
back then was
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah.
Heck
payout.
Yeah.
If I remember that right, I don't know for sure that's exactly what it was. You can ask Ron.
But now, how cool is this though? So we're looking through this photo album, and you can see the PABA Wisconsin State Championship, and the organizer, the director, was up there on stage. I think you were on stage, or your brother was on stage, and Ron Skirvin is on stage. Just last year, you two got inducted into the BA Hall of Fame, and so did Ron Skirvin.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Ron's not far. He's out of Stevens Point, which is maybe 45 minutes. So
Yeah,
all
how
Right.
cool.
Sure.
I mean, that's just cool.
Yeah.
History right there. If anybody knows Ron Skirvin, he was a sure shot arrow points, the points that he had. Sure.
Ron's a great guy. He's very,
Yeah.
very humble guy.
Yep.
And
That's
he's
so
shot a
cool.
lot of fish over the years too.
Oh, yeah.
And he did shoot a lot of tournaments solo. I remember him in a
Yeah.
canoe by
He was big
himself,
in the tournaments.
just
wow.
shooting fish.
That's
so
cool.
he's one of those guys that just out there doing it by himself, doing it however, and
Yeah.
Right.
got it done.
Yep.
So
Right.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
cool.
Cindy, any bow fishing experiences that stick out to you?
probably my favorite would be the shark hunt in Louisiana.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Yeah, that was pretty cool. That was just before Katrina hit. So what year is that? I don't remember.
Katrina. I think I wrote
2005, 6.
I wrote down, I think, let me see here, 2005.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
you
went down on a girls' trip that year.
No, but you were with me when I got the big one.
No.
Yeah.
What?
Was I?
Yeah, Joel and
Yeah,
Richard were
yeah.
there, and yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was a calm before the storm because it was perfect.
It was
weather.
flat calm.
Really?
It was
Flat calm out
ridiculous.
there. You know, it wasn't. We weren't there when they were forecasting it yet.
Sure. Okay.
So this was it was before that. We didn't know a hurricane was coming until a few days after we got home.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy timing. Good
Yeah.
Lord.
But I was all about getting a big shark. So shark. I had shark on the mind, and we were out. We did a bunch of drifts, and we were around the oil rigs, and we did some sandbars, and then there was a little rock reef, and I was all about the sharks. And I had seen some stingrays, and I thought, I'll let him go. And then we did float upon this monster stingray. I realized today that it was a monster.
Really?
Probably would have been a world record.
It probably. I swear.
gosh.
I mean, it was 7. I swear it was 7 feet across, maybe bigger. It was just ridiculous.
Oh.
And I saw it, and I'm like, well, that's kind of big.
Well, that's kind of big.
But I'm in the perfect zone for shark, and if I shoot the stingray, I'm not going to get my shark because I'm going to be greedy, and I just can't do it. So I let him go.
Oh my gosh.
So I didn't get him, but yeah, we were just cruising around doing whatever. I guess that was when I hit that. I hit a big one before my shark then too. I had another in the same general area. We drifted over. I don't know. I see rocks and I see a fish, and out from nowhere underneath the boat, another big monster shark came right underneath us, and I looking at his back. I mean, I think he was 3 feet wide. I shot straight down at him. I hit him solid. He took off 100 miles an hour. He went straight for the oil. My float popped off, and it went with him like super fast. It was like gone in seconds.
We were in an old dock area.
Yeah,
it
with
was
pilings.
abandoned, but there was pilings left in the water.
Oh,
like
okay.
old vertical structures underneath the water.
Sure.
And then, we saw it go, the float went. I'm like, oh my God, I got this guy. It's awesome. And the next thing you know, bloop, the float pops up over there. I'm like, what? No way. He was like right there, so close. There's no way, why did that break?
Right.
Or what happened? But we came upon the float. We pulled in the line, and the arrow was sheared off like somebody had cut it with a.
Oh.
Can you imagine
Through the
cutting
fiberglass.
like a razor blade? Like it was like just sheared off, cut with a razor blade, fiberglass shaft, gone.
So
He was going so strong and so fast, and the arrow had to have been so solid in him that he just sliced. He went under went under the piling,
And it
hit
hit
a
the
structure,
pi-
and then
Oh
just
my
sheared it right off.
Gosh.
So then I was sick again. I'm like, oh no, here we go.
yeah, that was probably a 10-foot shark.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
it was a monster.
So the trip started out with you passing up a world record stingray
Yeah.
and then losing a big shark.
yeah,
Oh man.
Yeah.
That was within probably 10 minutes.
yeah. It
Oh
was,
my
this
gosh,
was, it
in
was
Same
busy.
area.
And then we ended up, then that all happened. And then we reloaded. We had equipment. We had to get new arrows and all that business. And then we ended up floating around on a sandbar. And Daryl, the guide, got out of the boat. Sandbar in there, I can picture some oil rigs around, and you could see the water
and
breaking on the sand and whatnot.
We were chumming too. He had like a
Okay.
little chum pile.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he got out of the boat. I guess he was getting too shallow. He was afraid we were gonna drag bottom or something with the motor. So he was kind of out of the boat. He was in the front, kind of dragging us along, and my shark comes in, just kind of coming in for the chum, and there he is. And I guess I hit him, took off. Daryl, I shot the fish. It took off. It kind of swam toward Daryl, and he's screamed and jumps out of the water.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
And it took off, and he wasn't interested in Daryl. He was just getting out of there.
Yeah.
But it gave Daryl a little scare.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it came within 5 feet of the
Yeah,
boat.
I mean, and he
Oh
was
my
like,
gosh.
but yeah, so that was, I got my lemon shark. So
Wow.
that was awesome. We dragged him up on a beach,
That's a
took
really
a bunch of
cool
pictures.
picture.
Yeah, yeah, it was pretty awesome. So that's probably my favorite story.
That's cool.
I'll never. I remember seeing some footage of that. Like you were saying, Jeff, when you shot that shark, that line was out, and
was
that float
gone
was
in-
off in seconds.
Shark are amazingly fast.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
And
Yeah.
that's kind of my thing too. Is I think the one that sticks in my head the most is the shark hunt because I shot mine maybe a year or 2 years before that,
Right.
and back then we were just kind of strolling along these any areas out in South Louisiana, along sandbars and structures and stuff like that. Just like your bow fishing, just with a trolling motor and whatnot. And a lot of times you could see quite a ways up ahead and whatnot. So the first day we were going along and I hit a shark. And I knew I didn't have my float rigged the way I should have. I didn't have tape to wrap the line around the bottom limb. If you know what I mean, the float comes off the side of the retriever, and then you should tape it to your bottom limb and keep that line between the reel and the limb tight.
Okay. That was before we had the floats mounted to the bow. So this float was sitting on the floor at your feet. So that's why that's what he's talking about. Yeah.
So anyways, I knew that, and I didn't have tape to do it. So I was like, okay, I can just do this without being, I know what I'm doing.
You'll be quick enough.
Yeah. So then we come up and I hit a shark, pretty decent one. I think a 7, 8 footer or something. That shark, bam, it started flying at 25 yards of line in. And just as the line came to the end of the thing, and I was messing with it and trying to make sure I didn't hook on my handle, a wave hit the boat. And just as the wave hit the boat, the line went over my handle. Oh. It snapped the line off. I fell in the water backwards over my head with the shark swimming around.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm sitting there in the water, line snapped, 450-pound line, just like a shoestring or less, It was just nothing.
Yeah, the speed.
Wow.
The speed was that was like, oh my God, the speed of these sharks is just amazing.
Yeah.
Couldn't believe that. So that was my first opportunity too, And these shark, you put an arrow in their back like Cindy's, you're not gonna kill that shark.
Right. You're just pissing them off a little bit.
Them off.
Yep.
So they're gonna survive that. They're gonna break that off somewhere and whatever. But anyways, and I think it was later that day or maybe the next day that I ended up, and I'm trying to remember how we even came across that one, but I shot one that was an 8'3", and actually both mine and Cindy's sharks were almost identical size.
Oh, really? Wow.
Were they the same kind of shark?
Yes.
Yep. Okay.
Gotcha.
So, so then, we got that bigger one later on, and I don't actually remember all the details from that one. I remember the one where I fell in the water.
Yeah, that's the memorable one. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other memorable thing too is, you mentioned it, my croc hunt.
Yeah.
And not so much just the hunt itself, but just the experience of going over there. We crossed the border by car from South Africa into Zimbabwe. Oh, wow. That was an experience and kind of scary too at the same time. But once we were there, it was pretty cool. And we saw some big crocs in that same area the day before. We built this big blind on the shoreline. The biggest issue we were concerned about is hippos coming through there.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah. And the day we were building that little blind there, the first one, not the little I ended up shooting it out of a pop-up blind.
Yeah.
But we built a blind on the shore and tried to chum them in close, and that didn't work the greatest. But the day after we built that thing, or the hour after we built it, here comes a hippo bouncing through the river. And they're like, oh, I hope he's not going to be around here tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then I hit that one. Well, we hunted there that day, and then the next day we decided, okay, they're always going that rock across the river, and there was no easy way to get across the river.
Why were they going to that rock?
Just to sun themselves.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, just lay on it.
Yep.
And the beach over there too was there was some 13, 14, 15 footers out there the first day. I was just after getting one. It was decent, and it had to be, I think, 10 foot or bigger. So, anyways, then we figured out how to get across there. One of the guides had a little kayak, and we had to come across from the river side that we were on, and we went upriver, found a place to cross, had to cross in the kayak one at a time, and then hop a few rocks and got over there with the pop-up line. And it was just me and the guide. It was 2-man pop-up line, not very big, sitting there in the sun on top of that rock. And first croc that came out was, I think it was like an 7-8 footer, and we couldn't shoot that one. It's too small.
Oh, okay.
But it came out, and it was great that it was there. Came out, laid in front of us for, I don't remember how long it was there, probably half hour, 45 minutes. So it was just laying there. and 10 yards in front of us.
So these crocs, Jeff, are you guys worried about like, oh, don't move? Like if they see you move in that blind, are they skittish? They're going to go away, or?
I think, yeah.
Okay.
You know, so we're sitting there pretty quiet.
Yep.
There's two of us, and, you know, that's not a very big blind for two adult males.
Right.
You know.
Hope we don't get little bubble gut in there.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, and then you could see downriver. We could see down quite a ways down the river, and he's like, here comes one. And he's trying to eye it up, and I think that's about an 11-footer. So that's a shooter. So sure enough, it came right up. As that one came up, the other one moved because it was smaller, and kind of gave me a perfect shot at about 10. Well, it's probably between 10 and 15 yards.
Oh my gosh, that close to a crocodile.
That shot is still
perfect
one of the
shot.
best shots.
It is
on a
amazing.
croc that I've ever seen in my life.
Yep.
The amazing thing is how long that croc went after that, and I hit him perfectly in the lungs. We pulled that point out, and it had lung material on it.
Really? Wow.
I don't think I got both lungs. I didn't get enough penetration for both lungs, and that's why he stayed down for 45 minutes.
Wow. Good Lord.
With one lung.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
So then we had to float on him. It was hard to get another shot on him. So when we finally did it at the end of the day and got him in, I think he was wearing out and whatever. So, but we were lucky the hippo didn't come down the river when there's a croc with a line and float on it.
I bet, yeah.
That would have been bad news.
Yeah.
But
they're not very nice.
I was going to say, so was the fear of the hippos because they'd keep the crocs away, or that they would get aggressive towards
chase
you?
Us.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Whoa.
You don't want to get close to hippos.
Yeah.
Especially a male.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The crocodile's not the thing you got to worry about. It's the hippos.
hippos.
That's wild.
Oh, and I should mention too, one of the trackers that came with us, while we had the croc on with the float, he had to go out. We needed to get the float. We needed somebody to go out and get the float with the boat. So he went and did that. And as he's coming back, he flipped the boat in an area that's quite deep in the river, and he couldn't swim. And there's a croc in the water that's just been hit.
Oh.
So
Yikes.
So we got him out of there pretty quick, but
Sketchy.
it was a pretty sketchy. I mean, the croc was 25 yards away from him. He was at the end of the float, but it was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
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 Oh my gosh.
Are crocs more aggressive than alligators?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They can be.
Okay.
And some of the guides said, if we hunt crocs like we do in Africa, like you do alligators, you might have a croc that jumps up at you in the boat.
Oh, really?
Wow.
They can be.
Sure.
Wow.
Bad news right there.
Yeah. Yep.
And
And usually the bigger they are, the more aggressive they are. Too.
Oh, okay.
that trip you might have to give a little credit to Dennis Redden for.
Yes, Dennis.
Oh.
Dennis
Yeah,
came along to film that thing.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Dennis. Well, he kind of initiated the
He-
whole hunt, which
yeah.
then led to, well, if you're going to go over there, you might as well go shoot a crocodile.
Crocodile, yes.
That might have been me saying that. Well, go chase a croc while you're over there. I didn't think I was putting anybody's lives at risk by suggesting
Yeah.
such
Yeah.
a thing, but
Yeah, so
Dennis
Dennis invited me to go on an African safari hunt.
Oh, okay.
So then we did that, and I said, well,
Want
if
to
we
go
do
croc
that,
hunting?
I want to go shoot a croc.
Yeah.
Well, the problem was in South Africa, you can't shoot a croc with a bow.
Oh.
Yeah. So we couldn't do the croc hunt in South Africa
Okay.
while we were doing the other safari stuff.
Sure.
That's why Zimbabwe.
That's why we had to go to Zimbabwe.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
And that's where it got a little sketchy. I wasn't, South Africa was great. It was good there and whatnot. But the crossing the border, I think, with all that camera equipment and 2 American guys, and stuff like that, it was,
A little freaky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I bet.
Might have had to pay a little cash to somebody, didn't we?
Yeah.
Oh,
you?
wow.
Yeah.
Extra sketchy.
Extra sketch.
Good
Yeah.
Lord.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have a question. I remember you talking about this. I heard about this years ago. Didn't you go to Texas on a gator hunt and end up with a bloody forehead or something? Or
Oh yeah, the gator gar.
gator guard? Didn't you go on a gator guard hunt?
Yeah.
Didn't you end up with like a
Gator
bloody
guard hunt.
forehead or something?
Yeah. Yeah. I won't mention any names of that. Yeah, it was. I don't remember if that was my first. I don't think it was my first gator guard, but it was my first time down in that area, and we were with a guy, and I shot the gar. I don't remember the size. It was a decent gar,
yeah.
6-7 footer,
It's the one that's mounted in the downstairs, right? Is that the one that's mounted down?
I think it is. I think it was 6 foot.
Yeah. 6 foot is almost just under 7 feet, 130-ish, 140 pounds.
Wow.
So we got it in the boat, and what the heck happened? We got it in the boat, and it was still kind of fluctuating and whatnot. So the guy that was kind of guiding us at the time he grabbed the billy club. Well, and as I bent down, he swung backwards and hit me in the freaking forehead with the billy club.
Wow.
And he hit me hard enough where I had to bloody forehead.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Wow. That's crazy.
Oh my
He actually Billy Club Jeff instead of the
I was seeing stars. I didn't get knocked out, but I was like, oh wow.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Was he like, oh my God?
Oh yeah, he felt pretty bad.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't do it on purpose, of course, but it was just one of those things. You know.
Right. Yep. You could have taken a picture with that gator guard and been like, yeah, boy, he really got the best of me.
Went in the water after
wrestle him.
Went in the water after him.
Yep. Meanwhile, it was just a billy club. Wow. Yeah. Oh, that's crazy.
So I know what it feels like for a carp to get billy club.
Yeah. Oh, that's too funny. That's funny.
One more that's just coming to mind quick, I just got to say it, is that trip to Texas with Jack Thatcher. I think you were along. Was that our first filming trip?
2007.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I know we were shooting those monster smallmouth buffs. They were like 50 pounders. I don't know what they were, but they were.
Yeah, you kept calling the big wood ticks.
Yes,
big wood ticks. They were so full. And then the pillowcases. They were like the size of a pillowcase swimming around. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, it was 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. When we couldn't hit pillowcases anymore, it was time to quit. Yep. But that was just a great trip too. We got into so many big fish.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because that was August. So that time of year in Texas, you only want to go at night and then sleep all day in the air conditioning.
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was just, I don't know.
And that was my first trip out of state to go bow fishing. I remember you and Jeff saying, Matt, get the camera stuff. We're going to Texas to film. And I was like, whoa. I was all jacked up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I was filming you guys. And Jack had a really nice platform up there on the boat, and it had a nice little rest that you could rest on your back when you're standing there, and it was all pretty nice. So I could see everything, and that water was crystal clear.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And like you said, those buffs would come out of that vegetation and stuff, and they were like big pillowcases, and they were huge, and I won't forget that trip.
Yeah.
I should give Jack Thatcher a little bit of credit. He's not doing it anymore, but he was running extreme bow fishing at the time.
Yep.
And he was an awesome guy down there, but
couple sweatshirts may have come from things he said on that trip.
Yes.
I Ain't Scared was one of them.
Oh. I remember him always saying, oh my gosh.
That's a
Look at that one. That's a big one.
No, that's a grown fish right
there.
There
you go.
Grown fish. That's good.
Well, and then when we were trying to shoot some tilapia, let's go get some groceries, boys.
Let's get the groceries.
Time to get the groceries.
That's perfect. That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
That was a neat trip.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
There's a picture of you holding one, I think, in the shop somewhere.
Yes.
And I remember we were walking by it once,
Yeah.
and you said, you called it a wood tick.
Yeah. There's my wood
And if
tick.
you know what a wood tick is, when you get full of blood and whatever, when you pick them off of your dog or something like that,
Right.
they're just like big fat things.
They look like they're about to pop.
Just
Right.
like a marble with little legs that stick out.
Yeah.
They're nasty. Wow. But that's what the carp were looking like. They could explode at any minute. So
That's cool.
Wow.
That's cool. So last question for you guys. What's each of your favorite parts of owning your own bow fishing business?
I think that's probably changed a little over the years.
Yeah.
With the favorite part, I mean, right now I think it's just I like our atmosphere and our family atmosphere we have here,
And we certainly
like
have
to
that.
keep that.
Yes.
Everybody gets along well. We have fun with each other. We get stuff done.
Yep,
You guys know how busy we can get in the spring.
Yep.
This time of year we're kind of stocking things a little bit more and getting stuff prepped so we don't have to hire so many people in the spring to help us. But but yeah, I think I enjoy that a lot right now.
Cool.
yeah,
Cool.
Yeah, I agree. And we've been doing this all our lives, and it's given us a great lifestyle. Our work ethic, I think, is pretty good. We've not come here by being slackers,
Right.
But we worked through it. We did a lot of things. I guess you just kind of keep doing what we do, but yet it's been kind of great. It's been fun. still is fun. Like Jeff said, we've got a great group of people, and now we're able to rely on you guys to do more.
Sure.
Do more of those things. So it's great. I don't know. It's just kind of been a great.
Yep. I
experience,
remember you and I
life,
were
whatever.
Yeah, you and I were talking last week, Cindy, about saying, remember making them floats years ago back in the old shop and them floats and stuff like that.
I used to run that lathe, and then we'd fight with that thing, and we had to machine this off. It's funny the processes we had back in the day. It's like, oh, really?
And then grinding those arrow shafts with the taper so you could put knocks on them and sitting there all day rolling those arrow shafts and you couldn't move your thumbs.
Yeah, I remember that.
It's amazing how we,
right,
how much more efficient we are, and how we've automated some things, and just simple little things, even just bagging parts.
Yeah,
so
cool.
Yeah,
cool.
It's come a long way.
Yeah, it's a well-oiled machine.
Yeah,
I
no
think
doubt.
so.
No
Very
doubt
efficient.
It is,
Absolutely.
Yes. Yep. It's cool to go down there and see everybody working and talking and having the radio going and getting along, but yet being productive out there and getting the products on the shelves and out the doors to the stores and stuff. And it's a neat process.
Absolutely.
It's kind of amazing what we get done with just a few of us.
Yes.
Here. We've got a good
and
good
to
group.
think about, Jack, and then you guys building them in your apartment, that's really, really neat.
It is. The history behind it is just crazy. It's crazy.
Absolutely. And I hope everybody that's listening gets to appreciate of how much work that you and Jeff have, Cindy and Jeff have put into bow fishing. And I hope that I think you guys are proud of what you've done. I hope you are proud. You should be proud,
Definitely.
And even like last year, I was so glad that you guys were finally inducted into the Bowfishing Hall of Fame, because you guys definitely deserved it for everything that you do for the sport. Sponsoring tournaments and donations and getting the youth involved was huge for you guys. Here in Stratford, you guys started the NAS program for the archery program for the kids in the schools and stuff, and that was one of your passions. And I think I speak for everybody. Thank you to you guys.
Absolutely.
So much for the bowfishing world. You've done a lot for it, and it's really cool. Really appreciate it all. Yeah.
It's been really fun to see how the whole industry and things have changed over the last just 20 years.
Right. Mm-hmm.
No doubt. 20, 30 years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
We very much appreciate taking some time out of your busy days to come up here and talk with us. It was really cool.
Sure, no problem.
Thank you, guys.
No problem.
Yep.
I've never known that Jeff was Billy Clubbed before, so now we all know that, which is an amazing story. So that's awesome. We appreciate it. Thank you guys so much.
I actually didn't remember that until you brought that up.
Yeah, because you were probably a little dazed when it happened. The memory's a little cloudy.
Yep.
Oh, that's good stuff.
Good stuff. Right there. Good stuff. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'll tell you what, Matt, I think that's going to wrap up our interview here with Jeff and Cindy. We'll cover a couple of other things when we come back from this quick break.
Well, Schmidty, I hope our listeners appreciate that little interview there with Jeff and Cindy.
Yep.
Really cool stuff.
Absolutely. A rich tapestry of history behind AMS Bowfishing. And, not to toot our own horn, but a lot of outdoor industry companies, nothing wrong with what I'm about to say, but a lot of them are owned by big conglomerate places.
Yeah.
That,
they've been bought up through the years.
Yep. This conglomerate owns 20 different outdoor industry manufacturers, and they're all owned under one name kind of deal. And Jeff and Cindy have never wanted to do that, nor do I think they will ever do that.
Right.
The pride that they have from everything that we just heard that runs so deep in their veins, in their heart, in their blood, sweat, and tears.
Yep.
And that's what really gives us the quality that we have, that we offer our customers. Yep. I truly believe that that's the main reason for it.
I remember that tagline we had years ago, Bowfishing, it runs through our veins.
Yep.
Yeah.
And what we just talked about with them proves that.
Exactly.
100%.
Yep.
Yep. Yep. That's cool. That's cool.
Let's get ready.
Oh, I forgot about this. You didn't have that on here for me.
Get ready for fish that you wish.
This fish comes to us out of a state that got its nickname because workers used to sell tar, pitch, and turpentine from the state longleaf pine trees to be used in wooden ships. This college basketball player also became the greatest of all time. I'm talking the Tar Heels of North Carolina and Michael Jordan.
Debatable.
With a length of 38 inches and a girth of 18 inches, This fish was shot on March 17th, 2022 by Austin Owens. This BAA World Record bowfin tipped the scales at an impressive 17 pounds, 9.6 ounces.
Oh my gosh.
And that's a fish you wish you shot.
A 17-pound bowfin? Holy cow.
Big one. 18-inch girth?
That's insane. That's insane. I remember we were fishing once and we caught a 10-pounder, and I thought it was an absolute giant. Holy cow, that's a stud.
Right, and the reason that I wanted to put this one in here for this podcast
Don't lie to everyone. It's because your little Michael Jordan plug. That's why you wanted to do it.
No, because there's a lot of bowfin that gets shot every year.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
And 17 pound.
That's ridiculous. God, what does that fish look like
Holy
in the water?
Moly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's got to be wild to look down there. Yeah, I wouldn't even think it was a bowfin when it gets to be that big.
Another reason I talked about it today in the podcast is make sure that you go and look at the Throwback Thursday that I'm going to Throwback Thursday picture that I'm going to put on our Facebook page.
Oh,
today.
okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Yeah.
Check it out, AMS Facebook page. You're going to put a good one up there, huh?
Yeah.
Is it going to be a picture of said bowfin?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep, but it's a cool picture. Check it out.
Yeah, cool.
Yep.
Alrighty. We'll do. We'll do.
Yep. So we hope you enjoyed. Oh, let's get a little. We forgot our outro here. There we go. See, we aren't in a loop of this anymore.
Yeah, we got to do these more often.
Oh boy. Well, we hope you enjoyed episode 91. The Bowfishing Buzz. Brought to you by AMS Bowfishing and
Mega Mouth Bowfishing as well. Sponsored by NDesigns Leatherwork. E-FISH-N-SEE Bowfishing Lights by Outdoor Innovations USA. Episode 91 is in the books here, man.
Jeff and Cindy, the owners of AMS, having a little fun up here on the podcast with us.
Absolutely. Loved it.
Oh boy, it's fall. Get out there, enjoy the sport of bowfishing. Happy Halloween to all of you out there.
Yes.
And all you little Halloween bowfishers, have fun getting some trick-or-treating done, baby.
Go.
Get out there and do it, man. I used to love Halloween and trick-or-treating.
It was the best.
I come out with bags and bags of candy.
Yep.
Then I sent my daughters out to do that to get me candy for deer season.
Your little tree stand snacks.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, boy. So from all of us here at AMS Bowfishing, we wish you the best of luck. And remember, aim low
and think big. Thanks for listening, guys.